All right, let's continue with number 2. All right, again, we're going to put it in a augmented matrix. So this is 1. I'm just putting them in order. You can put them any order you want. I'm just going to keep the same order. And by the way, my order, I like to put one that has a 1x starting off here. All right, so that's a 1x right there. So I just keep that one. Here's a 1x right there. I keep that one. All right, this is 2, -1, 1. Oh, I put equals. It's at the bar. 2 and 0, 5, -3, 2. Okay, so first I'm going to try to eliminate that 2 right there. Notice I can do it if I multiply that by -2 and add it to that. And that's what I'm going to do. Here's my documentation. -2 times row 1 plus row 2, and that goes in row 2. Okay, so row 1 is going to stay the same. Row 3 is going to stay the same. All right, but row 2 is going to come from the following. There's -2 times that is -2 plus that is 0. -2 times 2 is -4 plus -1 is -5. -2 times -1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. And -2 times 2 is -4 plus 2 is -2. Okay, so now I got my eye on this one right here. Notice if I just add the -5 plus the 5, that'll add up to 0. By the way, once I get these two zeros, I don't want to touch row 1. So I'm just going to add row 2 plus row 3 into row 3. All right, so row 3 is going to be row 2 plus row 3, and that result is going to go in row 3. What happens to row 1? Nothing. Stays right where it is. What happens to row 2? Nothing. It stays right where it is. What happens to row 3? I'm going to add row 2 plus row 3. So 0 plus 0 is 0. -5 plus 5 is 0. 3 plus -3 is 0. And -2 plus 2 is 0. Okay? What's that called when you have a 0 equals 0? That's right. Infinitely many solutions. So when you get a 0 equals 0 line, it's infinitely many solutions. Okay. And your book is going to write it. If you remember the last section, we saw parametrized solutions where they write x, and then for y they write -x plus 3 or something like that. You might see them like that here. Just keep in mind that that's infinitely many solutions. All right, let's do, we're going to leave the next two, number 3 and number 4 for class. And we're going to do a word problem now. Okay, let's try number 5. Okay, so number 5. So 1,000 tickets were sold for a baseball game. There were 100 more adult tickets sold than student tickets, and there were 4 times as many student tickets sold to students as to children. How many of each type of ticket were sold? Okay, so first I'm going to define some variables, and I think we've done this before, right? So I'm going to say A is, we're finding how many of each type. So this will be the number. A will be the number of adult tickets. All right, I'm going to say, how many? What others are there? S. So I'm going to say S is the number of student tickets. Student tickets. And then finally, there's child tickets. So C will be the number of child tickets. Notice each of these variables is a number of tickets. Okay, so there's a total of 1,000 tickets sold. I can write A plus S plus C equals 1,000. All right, there's 100 more adult tickets sold than student tickets, so I can say A minus S, right, because there's more adult. A minus S equals 100. So I'm going to write it right here. A minus S equals 100. Okay, and then finally there were 4 times as many tickets sold to students as to children. So the number of student tickets is 4 times the number of children. So students is 4 times children. And then I'm going to move this over to the other side. So I'm going to rewrite this as S minus 4C equals 0. Okay? I'm going to use it that way instead. And what I've done is I've aligned all my variables. Okay? A's, S's, and C's. All right. Now I'm going to write a matrix. But remember, I'm not using X, Y, and Z. So what I'm going to do is up here put A, S, and C. Okay, in a minute. Let's fill in the matrix first. So it's 1A plus 1S plus 1C. 1, 1, 1 is 1,000. Right, and then 1 minus 1, 0 is 100. 1 minus 1, 0 is 100. And then 0, 1 minus 4 is 0. 0, 1 minus 4 is 0. Okay, so there it is. And now I'm going to fill this up here. This is A, S, and C. And that way I know what I find. Okay, so I'm going to start with getting rid of that 1 there. So I'm going to multiply that first times negative 1 and add it to that, and that'll be 0. Okay, so row 1 will stay the same. Row 3 will stay the same. But row 2 is going to come from negative 1 times that plus that is 0. Right? Negative of that plus that. Negative of that, which is negative 1 plus negative 1 is negative 2. Negative of that, which is negative 1 plus nothing is negative 1. And negative of that, which is negative 1,000 plus 100 is negative 900. Okay? All right, so notice I can make this 0 here. Remember we had a 0 there before? By just adding 2 of these into that one. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add 2 of row 3 into row 2. So that's 2 row 3 plus row 2 into row 2. All right, what's going to happen to row 1? Nothing. What's going to happen to row 3? Nothing. What's going to happen to row 2? Well, 2 of these plus that one is 0. 2 of these, that's 2 plus that one is 0. And 2 of these, that's negative 8 plus that one is negative 9. And 2 of these plus that one, that's negative 900. Okay? And I don't really have to reorder them. I will, just so we can see them easier. Okay? So I'm going to switch row 2 and row 3, and I'll do it right here. I'm switching row 2 with row 3. Okay, this will be 1, 1, 1, 1,000, 0, 1, negative 4, 0, and 0, 0, negative 9, negative 900. All right, so notice the last equation, or the last line gives me the equation. Negative 9z equals negative 900. If I divide by negative 9, I get z equals 100. Oh, z, hello. C, right? Negative 9c. All right, remember we're using A, S, and C instead of X, Y, and Z. All right, so these are the C's. Let me write them here. A, S, and C. All right, there they are. Okay, so I have negative 9c is negative 900. Now I have S minus 4c equals 0. So I can write that equation like this. S minus 4 times 100 equals 0. And so I have S minus 400 equals 0. So S equals 400. Yeah. And then the very first line is going to be A plus S plus C equals 1,000. So A, I'm going to write it up there. A plus S plus C equals 1,000. And S is 400 and C is 100. You might already see the solution, right? You might not actually have to finish solving to know it. So this is A plus 500. 500 equals 1,000. Subtract 500, so I get A equals 500. Okay, notice I don't have to explain that A is adult tickets because I already did that. Yeah, I don't have to explain that S is student tickets because I already did that. Same thing with C. So Here's my answers. You do not write these as triples because there's no planes, right? These are not planes that we're looking at the intersection of. These are numbers of tickets, right? So A equals 500. I'm going to write it here. S equals 400 and C equals 100. Just to put them all together, and I put a little box on it. Okay? All right. And then you guys are going to do number 6 and number 7, and they might look familiar, right? Okay, I'm going to stop there. So that's the end of section 6.